Good morning, everybody. It's 5:30 here in Oklahoma. Hey, this album I just did is is my Dens. Um, I just want to do a video on it so it makes sense. Here is the first image. This is totally gone. The bone. This right here, I've seen this for years on my imaging, and I just found out that's a fracture. It's a sign of a fracture, and I can prove it. Here is just another picture, just like this one. This one says osteostructural alterations like osteoarthritis. The bone, my bone that's holding, that my head swivels on, is right here. My head is setting on this, okay? Just like this one. This is Department of Radiology, Santa Ana Hospital in Italy, okay? It's exactly what I have going on. This right here is it says remnant is a landmark for odontoid types 2 and 3 fracture. Okay, that little line there, little thing there, this is mine. I have seen this line in my odontoid for years. A fracture in your odontoid. It looks like right here could be the fracture from years ago. When you have a fracture that's not healed properly, you get arthritis. Okay? So this is arthritis. It's damaged bone. It's just eaten up. There's that line again. I have a fracture here in my odontoid, and it's been that way for years. This is just another image a little further in. You can see the overlap here of the bone. This is totally not normal. My skull, my brain sets right here on this, where there's nothing left. That's why you have to fuse this and the other one here. It just has to be done. Here's my cranial leaks. This is my right ear. This is CSF fluid. This is normal, okay, to see it here and here. This is the back of my head. This is the right side of my ear, and you can see it coming down into my right ear. This is the front of my face, and you can see it coming down here into my face. Okay? This is forward facing. This is back of my head facing. Okay? That's my right ear. There's CSF fluid in my mastoid. There's CSF fluid coming out of my sinus, the roof of my sinus, into my face through my eye. And that's why you see this right here. This should not be here. This is the right side of my head, and it's traveling down into my ear. Anyway, that's from right here. This is the front of my face. The CSF fluid in your skull is right here. And when you see it come out here, that's not normal. I even have CSF fluid in my left side right here. Here is the one from 2023 where they the cisternogram where they said I had a leak. Okay, well, see, you see a little bit right here. Okay, and right here, this area. Well, it was hurting my face back then. Well, they went and cut my infraorbital nerve and did a little surgery, and then this happened. Okay, this is my eye right here. This would be where my eye is. It's coming down here. And then over here is my ear. There shouldn't be anything here. Kind of like over here. There shouldn't be anything there. This is 2023. This is 2025. Two different cisternograms. From the front. Okay? Pretty obvious. Here it is here. Look at it coming down my face. This is the front of my face on the cisternogram. I have cranial fluid leaking out into my face, and it burns like hell 24 hours a day. This is the back of my head, the right side of my ear, my mastoid, my middle ear. Okay, so there's nothing here. That's what it should look like right here. This is a leak in my ear. This is a leak in my sinus. This is the roof of my sinus. Okay, it's leaking out into my face through my eye. It's just obvious as everything. The pressure in my head that's caused those leaks in my skull is because of this. This right here runs beside your skull. It's called the sigmoid, or the sigmoid sinus, the sinus, and that's what drains blood out of your brain. Well, when you can't drain blood out of your brain because of this hole is from my C1, because the ligaments are bad and it's allowing my C1 to move forward and twist. It has for years, and it's behind here. Okay, so it's pushing it, and it's caused, I think, a hole. In other words, I have flow here and here, but you see how white this is. The flow stops, and then you don't see the white here. That is my jugular vein. This is my C1. Put the little knob, on the outside, like a wing. It's got a little round knob. Well, it's pushing in the middle of this. Right here. It's clear as a bell. There it is, another view of it. It's here, it goes down. It's totally compressed. And that's because of my upper cervical instability of the C1. It allows it to move forward and rotate to the right, in my case. And you see it clearly right there. This is an MRA that checks for this. So the flow comes down, it stops. That's my jugular vein. Okay, this is where my C1 is. It's smashing it right here. And there's barely any flow coming out. It causes intracranial hypertension. Lots of pressure in my head on the right side of my brain. This one here, there is a cyst, a fluid-filled cyst That's inside my brain, by my ear. It's showing no signal of this white. It stops, and then it starts a little bit, so I'm getting some flow. And then it stops again. This is my jugular vein. Okay? So I'm not getting good flow out of my head. That causes intracranial hypertension. Intracranial hypertension causes this. The amount of pressure over time erodes the bone in your skull, and then the little protective membrane that goes around here, it busts open and it allows CSF fluid to leak. Okay? That's why it's leaking down my face. That's why it's leaking in my ear. I have too much pressure in my head because of this. It's like kinking a water hose. It backs up into your head and puts pressure all in your head. There it is. Here's a obstruction of vein of head and neck region due to compression. There it is. Oklahoma Heart Hospital call center. That was an ambulatory referral to vascular surgery. So, obstruction of vein, diagnosis, head and neck region due to compression. I don't know what else to say. Here is a MRA. This was Christmas Eve, emergency MRA. Right here is where the compression is for my C1. You see it coming from my head down here, and it's cut off, clear as a bell. This was from 2020, just out in Owasso, Oklahoma, just outside of Tulsa. They did a digital motion x-ray. You can see here, I have the video of this. This is actually a video. And it was diagnosed damage to the alar, which is the C1, and accessory ligaments, indicated by significant overhang of C1 bilaterally. Also significant change in the paraodontoid space during lateral bending. So what's that saying is when I go forward, my C1 is going forward. Okay? I like that picture. This is another one of the C1 crushing my jugular vein. You see flow coming out of my head here, and it stops. And it's like that bone is pushing right in the middle of my jugular vein. This jugular vein, you see the flow. There's no flow down here. That's just it in green. This is the way it should look. All the way down. It should be lit up. This is not. It stops right here where my C1 is. Here is the DMX, one of the images of the digital motion x-ray of my C1. You can see it right here. There's the C2. My head is up here. It's slid forward. This should be in line with this back here. This was in 2020, 6 years ago, diagnosed upper cervical instability. And when I'm hanging my head down, this slips forward and it even crushes my jugular vein and nerves even more when this happens. I can actually slide it back on my own, and I feel it. Here it is again. This was on a venogram He was just caught by mistake. But it's so clear, so obvious. This back here is a loop that goes around your spinal cord. Well, when this goes forward, that loop presses on your brain stem, actually, because it's your brain stem right here. And that loop back here presses on your brain stem. So when this goes forward, because of upper cervical instability, this moves forward too, and it crushes everything. It's terrible. And you can read here, this is what's happened to me. The odontoid, because it's fractured, developed arthritis, ate the bone up. It degrades the supporting ligaments, which gives you craniocervical instability, okay, to shift out of alignment, which jugular vein compression happens, okay, which I got, which the jugular vein compression causes intracranial hypertension, just like it says. Blood struggles to leave the head. This venous congestion causes pressure to build up inside the skull, which also causes cranial leaks. The high intracranial pressure forces the dura mater through the membrane holding the CSF into the brain and spinal cord. Stretch and weaken. Eventually, this can result in a hole or tear, leading to spontaneous cranial CSF leak. That's what I showed you just a while ago. So, I've got everything. Everything. That's why I put Dens+everything. You can see it. It's totally eat up. This one here is not me. This one is a proven osteoarthritis, damaged crap. This is mine. This is mine right here. Just like this. This one here is also online. Diagnosed fracture of the odontoid or dens. Okay? That little line right here. And that little thing here. This is mine. This is mine. I've had a fracture here for years. Right there. It is messed up. And how they either haven't seen it or what, and it's caused pressure, which caused these leaks in my skull, cranial fluid, from this instability of C1 pressing on my jugular vein, causing intracranial hypertension. It's right here, and then right here, there's another one. That's when they did the trigeminal neuralgia surgery. It left a fluid-filled cyst that's crushing the hell out of my sinus, venous sinus. You see it right here and here. It's also clear. I was diagnosed here 12/29/25, almost the first of the year, 2026. Obstruction of vein of head and neck region due to compression. Okay? It's there. It's there. This was in 2020. I had an extensive workup, videoed. I have the video. It shows my C1 sliding off to the side when I turn my head that way, and when I bend it forward, it says damage to the alar ligaments. C1, it's there. I have to get fusion of C1 and C2 and get this fixed, or it's going to kill me. Alright? I wanted to do this extensive video because of what I found on the MRI. I don't know. I hope to God they see this that's a fracture that I've had on my dens, and it's arthritic, and the bone is just gone. This is what my head swivels on. It's unbelievable pain. It has led, because 9 years of this, it's led to intracranial hypertension, crushed jugular vein, and cranial fluid leaks. It's all right here. I think this is one of the best videos that I have done on everything that's wrong with me. And I hope this helps other people, because they are not looking. They are not diagnosing properly. And it has ruined my life, and I'm sure it's ruining many other lives. Alright, thanks for watching. Love y'all, and I hope this helps somebody. I hope it gets me some help. Bye-bye.